Okay, good morning, everybody.
And welcome back to another episode of Food Systems in Season. Hi, I'm Wendy Wood, and with me today is my co-host. We have I'll go this way, Dr. Bill Lester. And then we have two special guests. We've got two special guests today with us, and experts in extension. We have Rebecca Elliott from Marion County and Clarissa Chairez in Orange County. And today we're going to be learning a little bit about herbs, spices, and your health, and tea gardening and art. But we are going to be starting first with Rebecca Elliott. So, Rebecca, you want to take it away?
Yes, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our live. So let's talk about herbs, spices, and your health. Next slide. Just to remember, everyone is welcome to our classes. So I have three objectives today. First, you will learn the medicinal properties of selected herbs and spices. Then you will learn how to substitute excess salt, sugar, and fat for herbs and spices. And you also learn how to make an anti-inflammatory turmeric latte. Let's start talking about the medicinal properties of herbs and spices. I would like to start by sharing this amazing study. Imagine that researchers evaluated more than 3,000 foods. They evaluated 3,100 food samples to find out which samples have the highest antioxidant amounts. So they divided these foods into food groups: fruits, vegetables, herbs and spices, and protein groups, grains, and so forth. And after evaluating 3,100 samples, they found out that herbs and spices, ounce per ounce, they have some of the greatest antioxidant activities known. So they are very high in antioxidants. The highest value we found in cloves, peppermint, allspice, cinnamon, oregano, thyme, sage, rosemary, and saffron. But usually, in general, herbs and spices in general, they have the highest amount of antioxidants that is very good for our health. And next slide, please. Next slide. So what is the importance of antioxidants? If you see the image on the right, you see a normal cell. Cells could be attacked by free radicals. That's what we call oxidative stress. They damage our cells, and they can damage the nucleus, the DNA of our cells, leading to cell death or apoptosis. And why does it matter? Because when our cells are damaged, when our DNA is damaged, then we have higher chances of developing some chronic diseases. Excessive free radicals contribute to chronic diseases such as cancer, heart disease, cognitive decline, and even vision loss. So that is very important to protect our cells against oxidation, against DNA damage. And how can we do that? By increasing the amount of antioxidants in our diet. And according to that study I shared with you, herbs and spices is a great way to include these substances in your diet to protect your cells. Next slide, please. So what is the difference between herbs and spices? Herbs are the leaves of plants, and spices are the roots, bars, and seeds. Anything that is not a leaf. Today we are going to talk about selected herbs and spices such as turmeric, ginger, hibiscus, lemongrass, mint, lavender, butterfly pea, lemon verbena, chamomile, and stevia. and I'm going to share some of the medicinal properties of these herbs and spices. Today, we are going to focus a little bit more on turmeric. Why? Because turmeric is one of the most well-researched spices that we have. So we know a lot about turmeric. So turmeric has it bright, this yellow color, and it has this color because of a special substance in it called curcumin, and that can stain. It can stain your cutting boards when you are cooking. So that yellow bright color, it's because of the curcumin that is very high in antioxidants that protects your health. It has an earthy, bitter, spicy flavor. But it can also be purchased as a whole root or a powder. So what do we know about turmeric in terms of research? There's a very interesting research where researchers exposed cells of spice eaters versus non-spice eaters to free radicals. In other words, they damaged these cells to find out the DNA breakages. Then they counted the DNA breakages. And what they found? That after 1 week, just 1 week, the group consuming only a pinch of turmeric a day suppressed DNA damage in 50%. So again, they compared the cells of spice eaters and non-spice eaters. And then they counted the DNA breakages. The ones who were eating turmeric a pinch a day per only one week, they had their DNA their DNA breakages were reduced in 50%. They also found that ginger and rosemary also cut DNA damage in 25%. So these are amazing findings because when our DNA is protected, it reduces our chances of developing several chronic diseases and inflammatory diseases. We also found a relationship between turmeric and diabetes development. This is a very interesting study. For 9 months, one group of pre-diabetics took curcumin pills. And remember, curcumin is this active substance in turmeric responsible for giving turmeric this bright color. And curcumin is one of the most active components in turmeric. Turmeric has more than 300 active components, but curcumin is one of the most well-studied components in turmeric. So they divided this group into two groups, and for one group, they gave the curcumin pills. In the other group, they gave a placebo pill, which is a fake pill. And they wanted to know, after 9 months, who ended up with diabetes. They were all pre-diabetic. And one group was taking the fake pill and the other the real pill. So after 9 months, the group who was taking the fake pills, 16% of them developed diabetes, from pre-diabetes to diabetes. The other group who was taking the curcumin pills, nobody developed diabetes. So researchers are researching more about these medicinal properties of turmeric in diabetes. So we have some turmeric practical applications. Now we know that you can consume turmeric for better glucose control. And how much? How much turmeric should you consume to get these benefits? 1 teaspoon per day makes you more sensitive to insulin, meaning that your insulin can work better if you consume at least 1 teaspoon a day of turmeric. Also, researchers found that turmeric can protect your DNA and also reduce inflammation. If you want to get the DNA protective properties of turmeric, you can consume 3/4 of a teaspoon of heat-treated turmeric a day to boost this DNA damage. What do I mean by heat-treated turmeric? If you make any recipe that is heating the turmeric, then they found that heat-treated turmeric can protect your DNA. However, if you're using turmeric in a recipe and you're not heating, treating the recipe, for example, if you add turmeric to a smoothie, for example, the medicinal properties that you get are anti-inflammatory properties. So unheated turmeric, cloves, and ginger, rosemary showed in research to reduce inflammation caused by LDL cholesterol. But in general, it shows that it can reduce inflammation in your body. So you can consume turmeric heated or not heated. You choose. If you want to consume it heated and not heated, you are getting beneficial medicinal properties by consuming turmeric. But for better absorption, they found that if you add black pepper, it can help your body to absorb the curcumin in 2,000% more. So curcumin, remember, as I said before, curcumin is the most active substance in turmeric. It is one of the most well-studied substance in turmeric. And if you add black pepper will help absorb the curcumin in the turmeric. So let's talk about ginger. Ginger and turmeric are like cousins, and they have similar medicinal properties. Ginger also showed to reduce DNA damage in research. And 1 teaspoon a day, if you consume 1 teaspoon a day for 12 weeks, you can improve your blood sugar levels. Half a teaspoon of ground ginger for 4 weeks reduces inflammatory markers. And dried ginger powder, a research found that is better because the most potent anti-inflammatory component is formed during the drying process. It doesn't mean that fresh ginger is not good. They are just saying that heat can activate one of the most active components in ginger. But you are getting benefits from ginger, whether you use powdered ginger or fresh ginger. Next slide, please. Stevia. Stevia can help you control weight gain, contains 0 calories, which makes for a good sugar substitute, is beneficial for those with diabetes because it does not elevate your blood sugar levels, and also contains anti-inflammatory properties. The compounds found in stevia can help soothe the intestinal cells, especially beneficial for those with inflammatory bowel disease, IBD. It also has dental benefits because it contains some bactericidal properties that protect teeth from decay and gingivitis. So I would like to show you now how to make a DNA protective turmeric latte. And the spices that we are going to use are turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, stevia, and many other spices. Give me a second. We are going to use ginger, turmeric, stevia, and some of the spices that I've mentioned. Okay, so today we are going to make this DNA protective turmeric latte, which is a great option for the fall time. For this recipe, we are going to use 4 cups of water, 1 cup. So, Bill, let's change that. Okay, thank you. 4 cups of water, 1 cup of cashews, unsalted cashews. So with the water and the cashews, I'm going to make a cashew milk. But if you don't want to have cashews as the base, you can use the milk of your choice. You can use coconut milk or soy milk or cow's milk. It is up to you. So for the spices, we have 1 tablespoon of ground turmeric. And I have 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper. Why the black pepper? Because the black pepper will help to absorb the curcumin in turmeric. We also have 1 teaspoon of ginger, of ground ginger. We also have 1.5 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, a pinch of salt. This is a salt-free version alternative. We have 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 2 tablespoons of stevia is going to be our sweetener. If you don't want to use powdered turmeric, you can substitute it for 3 tablespoons of fresh turmeric. And this is how turmeric looks like, the root. You have the root, and then you have the turmeric chopped. And here I have ginger. So you can also use fresh ginger if you don't want to use powdered ginger. For today, I'm going to use the powdered turmeric and powdered ginger. So first of all, you are going to add the water into a blender and the cashews. And you're going to blend for 2 minutes or until you have a homemade cashew milk. Like in this case here, this is my cashew milk after I blended for 2 minutes. If you don't have a powerful blender, you can soak the cashews for 4 hours or overnight. So that will help blend the cashews better. So I'm going to show you how to make that. So I have the milk ready. So we are just going to add the spices. We're going to add the turmeric. You add to the mixture the turmeric, the pepper to help absorption, the ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, a pinch of salt, the vanilla, and the stevia. If you don't want to use stevia, you can use honey. You can substitute it for honey or maple syrup. Okay, so now I'm going to blend it for a minute. make sure all the ingredients are mixed. And then you're going to use a saucepan, and you can heat the mixture until it starts. Don't boil it until it starts steaming. That's all you want. Okay. It smells really good. Imagine all these spices, all this smell. It smells really, really good. So you can make this recipe hot or cold. If you want cold, just fill up a glass with ice, and you can have it cold or you can have it hot. So you can have this year round. It is a very healthy drink that you can add to your diet because it's very high in antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, protects your DNA, again, reduces inflammation. And the amazing thing about spices, herbs and spices, is that you don't have to eat a high quantity of herbs and spices to get their medicinal properties. Small amounts, like a tablespoon or half of a tablespoon, by eating smaller amounts, manageable amounts, you can still get the benefits of herbs and spices. Remember the example of people with diabetes? They were just taking a pill, actually just eating a pinch of turmeric every day for 9 months, and they gained those beneficial, the benefits of the turmeric. So herbs and spices goes beyond adding flavor and adding color to your recipes and to your food. Herbs and spices can have a strong effect on your health. It can really bring medicinal benefits to your health. So this is the mix. It's already starting to steam, and it's warm enough. It's warm enough. So I will turn it off because you don't want this to start to boil. Okay? So I'm going to show you how it looks like. Here I have my mug. So this is the turmeric latte with cashew milk that you can make at home. Super healthy. And this one will reduce inflammation and also protect your DNA. So this is a great option for having in the morning or in the afternoon. And again, you can also have this recipe cold. Okay, just add ice and you can have it cold. Okay, so let's continue with the presentation so we can talk about the other spices. Hibiscus. Hibiscus contains fat-blocking properties, and a combination of 1.5 cups of hibiscus tea and 1/4 cup of lemon verbena tea once a day for 2 months resulted in 8 pounds of weight loss in 2 months. Hibiscus also is good for reducing your blood pressure. So here I have hibiscus. This is locally grown. And the other guest, Clarissa, she will tell you how to grow hibiscus. So hibiscus have important medicinal properties, and you can, just by drinking 2 cups of tea or 1 cup of hibiscus tea a day, you can get great health benefits. Next slide. So other spices are mint, lemongrass, lavender, butterfly pea, chamomile, and lemon verbena. So just keep in mind that herbs and spices in general, they will have antioxidant properties. They will have different medicinal properties. Most of them are anti-inflammatory, such as mint. It is good for upset stomach and digestion. Lemongrass, for example, is antimicrobial. It's good for upset stomach. Lavender reduces pain and inflammation, supports sleep and overall mood. Butterfly pea is good for your immune system, boosts memory. It's good for eye health. And chamomile is anti-inflammatory, it has anti-anxiety properties and supports the immune system. Lemon verbena supports your digestive health, supports sleep, and is also anti-inflammatory. So you can see that herbs and spices in general, they have so many good medicinal properties, and you can include herbs and spices to your diet, so to give not only flavor and color, but also medicinal health benefits. So how can we substitute excess salt, sugar, and fats for herbs and spices? Well, for salt for herbs, there are some herbs where they have the most effective, they're most effective in replacing the taste of salt. For example, black pepper, garlic powder, curry powder, cumin, dill seeds, basil, ginger, coriander, and onion, they are very effective in replacing the taste of salt. So instead of cooking using excess salt, you can replace salt for these herbs. There is a salt-free blend recipe that you can make to replace excess salt when you're cooking. Also, you can substitute excess sugar by adding more spices such as allspice, cloves, ginger, anise, cardamom, cinnamon, nutmeg, and mace. In this recipe, the latte recipe, I used cinnamon and nutmeg and ginger. And for adding flavor without adding bad fats, it is just, instead of adding flavor with bad fats, you can add more herbs. For example, you can make your popcorn pop with garlic powder and cayenne instead of adding fat for flavor. You can make your own fat-free salad dressing with one part each of garlic, stone ground mustard, and apple cider vinegar. So there are many ways you can reduce that excess fat that you generally use when you cook for herbs and spices. If you want more information about how to use herbs and spices, IFAS have 2 great publications. One is called Shopping for Health, Herbs and Spices, and Cooking with Fresh Herbs. You can Google it, and you can find and download these publications. They are very informative. Thank you so much for attending, and I hope that you can try this recipe at home. We will share the recipe. and it smells good. It's awesome, and it's very healthy. I hope that from now on, you will use and explore herbs and spices and learn more about this world, this colorful world of herbs and spices. Thank you.
Okay, great, Rebecca. That was amazing. I'm going to have to write down your recipes and try making some of those different drinks and things like that for myself. I enjoy cooking and using a lot of different herbs and spices. All the different herbs and hot peppers that I grow, I dry and powder. That way I can use them in recipes for a long time. So I do a lot of that myself already. That was great. That was great information. So, okay, we also have some information from Clarissa Chairez in Orange County. So let me go ahead and open up your presentation here. And Clarissa's going to talk a little bit about tea gardening and art because she's the crafty one. I'm not the crafty one, guys. Don't ask me for tips and tricks. She is. So, Clarissa, why don't you go ahead and just tell me when to move to the next slide.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so jealous. I wish I had some of, I decided I'm going to need turmeric growing in our garden so I can start taking my 1 teaspoon a day. But we're going to talk about some of the different herbs and spices she mentioned and that she used in her latte. So I know I titled this one tea gardening, but I should have put tea and latte gardening with art as well. So my name is Clarissa Chairez. I am the residential horticulture agent as well as the Master Gardener Volunteer Coordinator here in Orange County. So we'll go ahead and jump into the next one. So tea gardening. So let's talk about some of those different herbs and spices. That was a learning moment for me. Herbs being the leaves and now spices going to be the roots and any of the fruit or anything that comes from it. So I'm going to try to do my best to refer to them as their proper term. Starting with vanilla. So did you know that vanilla is the second most expensive spice in the world, actually. So vanilla, as you can see, that has that beautiful flower. Vanillas are actually in the orchid family, but even though they're in the orchid family, they grow on a vine. So this is a plant that's going to need some trellising in order to support it. So you can see that there's flowers there in that bottom picture. You can see that what is happening is they are hand pollinating. So a lot of the vanilla that we consume is hand pollinated. Here in Florida, we are looking at a fly that actually might be able to help. It's an orchid fly that can help pollinate, but primarily it is hand pollinated, which is why vanilla bean or vanilla extract or like the real vanilla extract is so expensive. But this is a plant that is going to grow a little bit better in South Florida. If you are South Central Florida, you could probably grow this one as well. For my friends in the northern Central Florida area, it is very, very cold sensitive. So something to keep in mind. So it is a perennial plant. Oh, sorry, I have a few more. It is a perennial plant and it is going to produce some seed pods to it. So this is an easy one to propagate. All you need to do is take some cuttings. Since it is a vine, you can cut it up into different segments and then plant that cutting. It will eventually produce roots and then you'll be able to grow it from there. These plants can grow up to, the vines themselves can grow up to about 200 feet. So you don't need to let it grow that excessively, but you can kind of tame it back. But having a trellis is going to be the most effective method of growing this plant. Cinnamon. So cinnamon grows on a tree. So cinnamon is actually the layers of the bark. So this one can grow here in Florida. It's going to prefer USDA zones 10 to 12. I forgot to fill in the life cycle there, but it can grow either as primarily as a tree, but even a shrub if you prune it accordingly. This one, so it's the bark. You're going to peel back that first layer, and then those inner layers of bark are going to be dried, and that's what's going to create cinnamon. So cinnamon is, this tree can get up to about 20 to 40 feet wide and will grow up to about 30 to 50 feet tall. So making sure you're selecting the right place for your plant. If you have a smaller yard, then maybe this is not the tree for you. Maybe we just go to the herbs and spice section of the store and get some cinnamon sticks. But it's just something to keep in mind there. We always want to consider the full height of what our plants are going to grow to. So this is going to be a tree that's going to want full sun and can tolerate partial shade. Younger trees will prefer the part shade, while mature trees are more tolerant of the sun. So this one, the bottom picture there, that is a cinnamon tree that I've grown before in a greenhouse. So that one was right in front of our greenhouse. We grew it in a large container, and it is over an awning. So it is a little bit more shaded. It's getting bright light, but it's not in direct sun, just because it is a little bit younger. But once that tree gets a little bit older, more mature, then it'll be able to tolerate more full sun. Next. Stevia. So this one, as she mentioned, is a great alternative for instead of adding sugar. So stevia, you might even see at your local coffee shop adding stevia as an option instead of regular sugar. So this is going to be a plant that's going to grow as a perennial. If you are in once again, if you're kind of a little bit more north, it might grow as an annual instead in those cooler areas and might not come back. But that's okay. You can support your local nurseries and go and get another plant or plant your own seeds, try it again for the next year. So this one would be an herb because we're using the leaves. So the leaves are what is going to give you that sweetener tasting to it. You can propagate this plant by seeds or by cuttings as well. So you're just going to take a little snip of it below the node, plant it in some soil, and it can produce roots. For spacing, you're going to want to space these if you're going to have a row of them growing in your garden about 18 inches apart. Give it enough room from its neighbor so it can spread out and grow. So this plant is going to want full sun to partial shade, and the flowers are typically pruned to enhance the leaf flavor. So you can see those pretty little white flowers. A lot of herbs, once they start to produce flowers, they're taking away the energy from the leaves, and then from a culinary perspective, it starts to change the flavor. So if you see that it's starting to flower, go ahead and just prune those leaves back if you're going to be using the leaves for eating purposes. So pruning those leaves back will enhance the flavor. Or sorry, those flowers back will enhance the flavor. And then in cooler climate, it can be grown as an annual, or even if you're growing it in a pot, bring it indoors on any cold nights over winter. Next. Ginger. So ginger is going to be a perennial plant. It will die back during the winter freezes, but it will return. So this is another one that is going to love our warmer weather. So for this one, it is typically going to flower in the summer. It can start to flower in the late spring and even into early fall, depending on what kind of year we're having weather-wise. So ginger produces these beautiful flowers, as you can see here, but then it also produces that root that is what we're going to be eating. So to grow ginger, it can be propagated by division. So what that means is if you have the plant, you're harvesting it up, you have the root system, you can literally cut it in half, plant those two, and then you have two ginger plants. You can kind of space them out that way. So they produce what's called rhizomes. So that's that root. It also will start to grow and it'll clump. So by dividing them up by that method and replanting them, they will eventually start to spread out as well. So you can get more plants that way. These plants are going to be, you're going to want to separate the rhizomes and plant them about 15 inches apart, and they can grow 2 to 3 feet tall for the edible ginger. They're going to prefer grow well in partial shade and fully drained sandy soil. They don't want very, very wet soil because it is a rhizome, that root. If it's sitting in too moist of soil, the rhizome root can start to rot. So we do want to make sure we have really well-drained soil for these. There are many different kinds of ginger. This is the edible one that that you can eat the root. I will talk about a different kind of ornamental ginger in a little bit. Next is turmeric. Rebecca mentioned that turmeric and ginger have a lot of the same qualities when it comes to health benefits, and that is because these plants grow very similarly as well. So once again, a perennial plant that's kind of going to grow as a stalk that will die back during the winter. You can see that bottom picture. That is what those rhizomes look like when you harvest them. You'll have those roots that you can then grow or eat. So it has basically all of the same characteristics, and then it has a very, very similar looking flower that you can see in that top left corner. A beautiful flower as well. So I'm going to skip over this one because it's all the same growing conditions. Butterfly pea. So this one is a really interesting plant. So the scientific name for this one is Clitoria tarantia. The life cycle for this one, so it's going to be a perennial or even an annual, depending on where you're growing it, and it's going to be a flowering vine. So this is going to be another one that's going to want a trellis. I've seen this growing in the entranceway of a garden where there was a nice like walk through, and it was growing up and over, and then you can see the beautiful flowers. The beautiful flowers are going to be that vibrant purple, sometimes even blue. So for this one, a lot of the different parts of it are edible. I'm going to be focusing on the flower itself. So this propagates very easily by seed. So you could just order a pack of seeds and then plant them. And then you're going to want to space these about 15 feet apart because of the viningness to them. They're going to take up some space. They're going to want to grow in full sun in soil that has good drainage. And a fun fact with butterfly pea that I will show you and demonstrate for you here in a bit is that butterfly pea it will have some characteristics to it that when you make tea out of this, depending on what you add to it. So if you add something acidic, such as lemons, it's going to change the color from a dark blue to a pink or purple, depending on how much. Or if you add something that is going to raise the pH, then it'll change color to green. So I'm going to show you what the dried flowers look like. These are from a garden that I used to work in. So you can see the flower on screen. That is what it looks like before it bloomed. Here is a flower that has been dried. I harvested them and then I let them sit on my counter for about 3 days until they started to shrivel and dry out. Oh, I just spilled them on my laptop, but that's all right. So here are some of the flowers that are currently dried, and then you can make tea out of these. So I have some tea that is sitting. I boiled some hot water earlier. And all this that is in here is just the dried butterfly leaf flowers, and it is seeping in my hot water here. So you can see that nice indigo color as it kind of says. So let's watch what happens when I add lemon juice to this one. So I have lemon juice from my fridge. It's starting to change color there. So now we got purple. And let me add some more, see if we can get it nice and pink. And now it is lightening to a pink. I think if I added more water, it would be a little bit more pink. Mine is just very heavy concentrated because I wanted to focus on the color. So once again, that is one that you can grow here, has that beautiful flower. What's also done with butterfly pea sometimes is you can turn it into a simple syrup. I see that with like specialty cocktails or mocktails where it becomes like a magical cocktail that you can order, and then when they add the lemon to it in front of you, it changes colors. So this is a really fun one, and then a great one that you can use as a natural dye, and we'll touch on that in just a moment. So we can jump into the next section. Just as she mentioned, butterfly pea does have some health benefits to it. So we're going to skip over into our art portion. So in Orange County, where I am located, my Master Gardener volunteers and we teach what we call a gardening series, so garden and art together. And so we have lots of different kinds of classes. What I'm going to be focusing on today is some of the different herbs and spices that we talked about and how you can incorporate some art from your tea garden. Next slide. So shampoo ginger. So I mentioned earlier the ginger, there are many different kinds of gingers. Shampoo ginger is not one of our ornamental, sorry, is one of our ornamental ones, which means we're not going to eat it. I have a shampoo ginger here in front of me so you can see how pretty the flower looks. If you can jump to the next slide, I will touch on some of the interesting things about shampoo ginger. So it will also grow in partial shade to partial sun. It is very fragrant. So if you look at that right photo there, you can kind of see that there is some liquid in it. That's where shampoo ginger gets its name from. Shampoo ginger produces this a liquid inside of it that is what the fragrance comes from. And when harvest, oh, I just squeezed it and I can smell it now. It's very floral. And so what can be done is that when it's harvested, it actually can be used as a hair product. So shampoo ginger gets its name because it can be used in your hair. You're going to harvest it. I just cut my flower this morning. But what you're going to do is you don't have to harvest it. I just wasn't going to take you into the garden. It's very loud with all the planes here in Orange County. I'm located near the airport. But you can go on out into your yard and squeeze your flower cone, and then it will, and then another 2 or 3 days, you're able to go and squeeze some more. So I'm going to flip this over and see if we can extract any. You're going to want to wait till it turns red. Mine's a little pink. Wow, that is a lot more than I expected. You know, I should have grabbed a paper towel before this demonstration, but that's okay. I'm wrapping up anyways. So you can see how much of that I was able to extract. And it is very, very fruity, and it really does smell like shampoo. Like, I would be very okay using this if my hair product smelled like this, or using this in my hair. All right, jumping into the next one, if you could just go to the next slide. So flower arrangement. So you can see how beautiful some of these, so this one is the shampoo ginger, but even the edible ginger and even turmeric, since those flowers are very, very similar. Here is some AI photos I was able to get generated that really gave what I was looking for. So creating a tropical display. I just can't imagine using this one in an arrangement and how fragrant that arrangement is then going to smell. I think that could be definitely a good one that you can add. Next slide. And here is some more different photos of the ginger. Comes in various colors as well. So a great option to add some diversity of color to like a bouquet or even a vase. Next slide. So this was my starter photo. I was looking for something that gave, when I was looking at stock images, something that gave tea party in a garden. And then I realized, if you go to the next slide, that this actually has ginger in this arrangement. So that really just kind of brought everything together, what I was going for, and kind of re-emphasizes that you can use these as a floral arrangement. Next one. And then creating natural dyes. So just as we talked about, and I did the demonstration of butterfly pea, it is, you can consume it. It has those health benefits as she mentioned, but also you can use it as a natural dye. So all of my butterfly peas are dried, but if I were to grind them into a powder, that is an option. I just happen to have a tea strainer. That's how I did for this one. But turmeric, she mentioned that it can even stain your cutting board. Well, think about if you were looking to dye maybe fabric or using these natural dyes. If you can go to the next slide, please. So this is how you can use them as a dye. So first you're going to choose your solvent. I used water, but even alcohol is going to be able to extract the color very, very vibrantly. Next, you're going to steep the flowers. So there's a ratio of about 1 gram of flowers to about 20 milliliters of your solvent. and then heating the heat mixture to 170 degrees for 60 minutes. So if I were to do this over a stovetop, keeping track of the temperature of the water and just keep stirring it, I can extract even more pigment from it than I could just in the hot water that I poured out about an hour ago. And then you can do a strain test. So go ahead and strain, so you're removing the flowers from it. And then you can start with something like maybe like if you were to use fabric, so maybe just dip a corner to see if that's the pigmentation you want or not, or if you need to dilute it, or even if you wanted to add some of those different amendments to change the color. So this is with the butterfly pea. And the next slide. And so here is with turmeric. I know a lot of parents are now getting away from artificial dyes when it comes to anything that we consume. So just think about butterfly pea, since this is a tea that you can consume with health benefits, as well as turmeric. We learned about all of those health benefits. Using those for even something like the hard-boiled eggs, or if you celebrate Easter, or in the springtime, if you participate in dyeing eggs, how fun that could be with a natural dye, or even fabric there as well. I go to my local craft store a little too often, and buying dyes is something that I've done for clothing that I wanted to change the color of. But now I'm going to have to experiment with using ingredients from my kitchen that were previously in my garden as a way to use a natural dye. So this sounds like a project for a master gardener volunteer that I might have to start to experiment with various colors. That's what I have from you from my side of things. Bill, do we have time for questions, or how does that one work?
No, we do have time for questions. So for anybody watching us live, if you want to go ahead and put your questions or comments in the chat, we would be more than happy to do our very best to answer them if we're able to. I didn't see too many questions as we were going along this morning. And I can tell you from personal experience that turmeric does stain, but it adds a very nice yellow color to when you're cooking things. And we do have one of our regular viewers on here watching us who asked, where is Bernie? Bernie is one of our master gardeners, and we will be back on tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for our weekly virtual plant clinic. So Bernie will be on there. For this is Food Systems in Season. And if anybody's watching us live, this gets saved as a recording. So if you miss part of it, you want to come back and watch it again, or you want to take notes and write down those recipes, you can watch it again and again on our University of Florida Extension Central District YouTube channel. That's a mouthful. And Wendy, do you have anything to share?
No, I think this was fabulous. I've already added turmeric to my grocery list that I've got going, and I had absolutely no idea about shampoo ginger. So I really thought the cones were really hard and tough. I had no idea that they were squishy, nor did I realize it produced any type of liquid. So this was fabulous. I have learned a ton. And I'm going to have to go back and jot down those ingredients, because I have had this latte, if it's the one you prepared for us before, Rebecca.
This is a new recipe.
Okay. Well, I've had the one you had, tested the one you had before, and it was amazing. So looking forward to trying this one out as well.
And here we go. I was kind of remiss because Rebecca didn't remind me to show this earlier, but you should be able to see the
take a screenshot.
Actual recipe for that turmeric anti-inflammatory fall latte, and it is fall technically.
Yes, it is. I'm going to take a screenshot. So I'll have it for future. This is awesome. Without further ado, I think if seeing no other questions, I'm glad folks were here, and there was some good conversation. So thank you for that in the chat. And we're going to be back in winter. So in the new year, we'll be back with another round of Food Systems in Season. for winter and spring. So we look forward to seeing you then.
And I'm just showing everybody's email addresses here real quick. If you have any other questions for our presenters today, feel free to shoot them an email, reach out to them. If you have any really difficult questions, send them to Wendy, please. Don't send them to me. But if you want to send me a question, there's my email also. So we're more than happy to do our very best to get you an answer to your questions. And I don't see any other comments. So, hey, guys, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks for our extension experts.
Another set of these.
Yep, in the new year.
Exactly. After New Year's.
That's right. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.